Westwood Planning Board remote meeting. All meetings are video recorded by Westwood Media Center and filmed live on Westwood Media Center's YouTube and local government Channel 12 and Verizon Channel 42. As a reminder, please turn off your cell phone ringers and please stay muted while not speaking to assist with clear audio. The meeting will be civil and all people will be treated respectfully. The format of the meeting will be when an item is called by the chair, the applicant will present their application to the board. The board will proceed to staff comments. The board members will ask questions of the applicant and have board discussions. For public hearing items, the public will then be given an opportunity to comment. Items that are not a public hearing, the opportunity for public comment will be at the discretion of the board. Please only one person speaking at a time and allow a moment for the Zoom audio lag to catch up to speaker. When it is time for the public comment period, the town planner, as the Zoom host, will ask those wishing to speak to use the raise hand feature in Zoom or type a question in the Q&A section. To raise hand, click on the icon labeled participants at the bottom center of the screen. At the bottom of the participant window, click the button labeled raise hand and wait for the host to unmute you. You may then click lower hand after. For those participating by phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and wait for the host to unmute you. Once unmuted, please identify yourself by stating your name and an address for the record. Please direct all comments and questions through the chair. All people will be given the opportunity to speak, but in the interest of time and fairness, repetitive or off-topic comments may be cut short. And any votes this evening will be done through roll call. So the first item on the agenda, well, first, Abby, are there any changes to the agenda?
Nope, there are no changes.
Okay, thank you. So the first item on the agenda is 425 Providence Highway, Prime Motor Group for Mercedes of Westwood, public hearing EIDR. Is the applicant here to present?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board, concerned parties in the audience. My name is David Mackwell. I'm with Kelly Engineering Group. We helped Prime Motor Group prepare the application before you this evening, and also the limited site plans that were provided along with the application. Tonight's hearing is for environmental impact and design review for a building modification. The modification consists of changing the front facade of the building to better incorporate the corporate image of Mercedes, as this building is getting antiquated in style. Just to fill in a little bit of history here, the Mercedes dealership has been here since, I think, 2000, when the site came to the planning board and the zoning board for change of use, environmental impact and design review, and full permitting. Since that time, the applicant has been back in 2008, 2010, and most recently in 2018 to change the color of the roof. As noted in the application, this is kind of a minor renovation, but due to the nature that the site and the building has multiple permits prior to this one, and also multiple EIDRs, we have filed with the planning board to make sure that the project is vetted properly. The site is located 425 Providence Highway. Abby, if you want to just go back to the last slide, we'll just take a look at the overview. It's a 7.34 acre site. The portion that you see in green is the portion that is in Westwood. The remaining portion of the site is actually located in Norwood. The building is approximately 56,000 square feet and is proposed to be reduced in size by about 500 square feet in order to create the facade that is anticipated for the dealership. There are currently approximately 497 cars at the site. And Abby, we can move through some of those slides now. I'll wait for it to catch up. That's, yep, there's the proposed renovation. We've got some existing photos. Along with us tonight is multiple people from both Prime Motor Group and also Mr. James Malarkey of the Curtis Architectural Group, who's going to take over the presentation when we get to the proposed portions of the building renovation. We have Joe Rose has been familiar with the building since it was constructed in 2000. And we also have the CEO, Todd Skelton, on board here. They don't plan on doing any presentation, but if there's any specific questions related to Prime Motor Group or specific to the facility, we have some folks here to answer it. So these are just some of the existing photos. You can see it's a very nice site. Here's just the site plan we filed. Demonstrates that the site is fully compliant with the town of Westwood zoning requirements as it was constructed in 2000 and been maintained since then. It's a little blurry here on the screen, but in the other photos in the packet, you'll see that all the documentation is there to move forward. At this point here, we have a couple bird's eye view and renderings here, and I'm going to pass it over to Mr. James Malarkey of the Curtis Architectural Group, who will just explain a little bit what's going on here from an architectural point of view that you can't see. And James, are you here?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. James Malarkey from the Curtis Architectural Group. Abby, if I may, can we go back to slide 4?
Oh, yep. Sorry, which?
That's the one just above that one.
Okay, this one?
So I just want to give a tour of the existing building and explain why Mercedes is doing some of the things that they're doing. You can see there's a black component to the existing building and a gray component. The gray component to the rear is the existing service center, which is a flat roof building. The black component is the pitched roof of the showroom and the service drives on the front of the building. You can see off of the circle where the cars are parked, the main entry to the building where there's a vestibule and the Mercedes signage above it. You can see a series of columns along the front and an overhang along the front. The columns are brick and the overhang is quite substantial. If we skip down to the photos, 2 slides down, Abby.
Okay.
So that's the existing entry that you saw on the corner of the rendering. You can see the Mercedes Westwood sign, and underneath it you can see the vestibule. The vestibule is being kept in its current configuration and location. And if we go down to the next slide, Abby, and actually go down one more. So that gives you a good feeling for what the front of this building looks like. There's a canopy running all the way along the front. It's got brick pilasters, got some pretty intricate support to the roof beams, and you can see the glass behind. The glass is down at 8 feet, which is it's very low for a showroom of any description. And you'll notice above the glass that there's some opaque white panel, which is an ACN type panel. There's no reason why that could be not glass, and that's what Mercedes are proposing, to basically remove that white panel and increase the glass to the top, and then to rebuild the canopy in the front, more in keeping with their style. So in the background in that image, you can see the entryway columns. They're black columns. They're the 2 columns that are supporting the Mercedes sign. That's the kind of columns that Mercedes want to see across the front of the building. So what we're proposing to do, if we go back, Abby, up to slide number 5.
Okay.
This one up, I think, yeah. And in fact, if you go back one more to slide 4, just to refresh people's mind.
Oh, yeah.
That's the existing one. And you'll notice when we jump down to slide 5, it actually looks the same. So we need to be detailed about what the changes are, which are actually quite minor. So if you jump down one, Abby.
Okay.
So you can see that the general roof is the same, but the canopy that's on the front that I just showed you in the photographs is a little bit higher. And you can see where all the brick columns along that support that canopy are taller, more slender. They don't block as much view of the showroom, and the glass behind it is a little bit higher. The vestibule and the Mercedes of Westwood sign stays exactly where it is, and the canopy is a little bit taller. To the right of the canopy, you'll see a little wing wall with the Mercedes logo on it. So the canopy, the wing wall with the logo, and the tower that's in the middle of the roof. If we go back to the previous one again, Abby, you can see just above the entryway, you can see an existing tower. It's a very small square object in the middle of the building. We're removing that as well. It's hard to see on that image, but we can see it further down. That's in essence a summary of what we're doing. To explain it in detail, Abby, if we could go all the way down past the photographs to sheet 13, which is the floor plans, the next one. So the bits, they're the floor plans of the existing building, and the bits that are in red are the bits effectively that we're altering. So if you see on the image to the left, there's a red hatched pattern. That's the extent of the existing canopy. And you'll notice that on the left of that image, some of the red hatching is darker. That's a piece of the existing showroom that we're removing. It exists today under the canopy, and what it's prohibiting the exterior from doing is looking balanced and symmetrical. And Mercedes wanted that piece of the building removed so that when you're staring at the entry, which is on the diagonal, and the entry vestibule, that the canopy recedes on both sides of that vestibule equal, so that it has got a symmetrical feel to it. And if we jump up one slide, Abby, this is basically a summary of what I was just describing. Now, the top left image is the existing building, but forgive us, that's a little bit old. That's when it had a green roof. It's now currently black, but it's the same as the very first image that we looked at. To the right is the image of what we're proposing. So you can see how on the image on the right that the canopy is taller than the image on the left. But you can see where the existing entry is exactly the same on the corner. If we look at the bottom right image, that is a digital rendering, and it gives you a feel from a little bit of a lower vantage point of the entryway and the columns. And that would be taken on the sort of right justified toward the north. And the one on the left of that is more justified toward the south. You can see on the image on the left there a cloud with a little arrow on top that's going to where the old tower used to be, that's being removed. And you can see on the right of that image where the wing wall is with the Mercedes logo on it. So it's actually relatively simple. That is an overview of what we're proposing for the building itself. And I would defer back to David if he's got further comments tonight.
Thanks, James. That was a great summary of everything that we were anticipating. Just to fill the planning board in, we did receive comments. This application was filed back in March, and we're here tonight for the public hearing off in May to obviously because of everything going on. But there's been a few comments that from the staff, one of which doesn't really matter that much. They just noted that we'll have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get our signs approved. That specifically for the blade wall, we don't see a problem with that, as a lot of projects wind up over at the zoning board for signage. And the only other comment that we did receive was through the Department of Public Works about making some drainage upgrades at the site associated with the redevelopment project. We had a chance to dig into that a little bit more and realized that the site, although we didn't focus on that in the application, is already improved with a couple of recharge systems and a lot of best management practices. So we think that we can accept a condition that we comply with the Department of Public Works peer review letter from the Beta Group, that we can comply with that letter. And if we need to make any changes, we'll negotiate with the Director of Public Works and Beta Group to make sure that the site is compliant with the latest mandates from the EPA relating to their MS4 program. And we don't think that will be a big burden to overcome on this particular project. There were a few other waivers that we had requested. Abby, if we want to move to those, we can briefly discuss those. As the planning board member knows, you know, you're generally seeing big developments in this process. And this one we have a building that was approved many years ago and has been maintained nicely. There's no change to the exterior lighting at all in the entire place. Traffic study, there's no change to any traffic, no change to any curb cuts, no change to any parking on the site. Therefore, we requested a waiver from the traffic study. A stormwater management report, we requested the waiver. We're not changing any impervious areas at all. The building will get a little bit smaller, but it will be similarly covered with the canopy. So there's no change to any stormwater at all. Presentation 3D model. We felt that the building is there and everybody can drive by it and it's not going to change too much. So we requested a waiver. And then a plan that includes a locus map going out 1 mile. We didn't feel that it was needed for this site. It's a pretty prominent site within the town. Landscaping plan. The site is fully landscaped right now. If you go there, it looks beautiful. Almost all year round from what I can tell. I have a lot of experience over there. And then fill calculations, we're not changing any of the grade there, so there's no need to do any cut or fill calculations. And those were the waivers that we requested within the project narrative that was submitted. So with that, we would like to turn it back through the chairman of the planning board to the planning board members themselves and any concerned parties in the audience after that.
Great, thank you. And can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Abby, do we have any, are there any consultants that we have acquired for this that have anything to share in additional to what we heard from the applicant?
No, nothing further. You did have a memo from Beta Group. That's what David had referred to, that we had Beta review this, and they had recommended trying to capture at least 1 inch of the roof runoff to have that recharged. So that was what David was referring to. We'd like to see that incorporated into this application.
Okay, great. So now I'll go to, and any other comments, Abby, from you or any other staff?
No, not at this time.
Okay, great. So I'll go in the order of Dave, Deb, Chris, Bill, and then myself. So starting with Dave Atkins.
So I don't, I think this looks good. I don't really have any questions or concerns. I'm happy that the stormwater issue looks like it can be handled. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Deborah Conant.
So I had a quick question about, you said that this is also abuts Norwood property, is that correct?
Yes, this is Dave Mackwell here. Yes, the property is actually located partially in Norwood. About 5 acres is in, well, approximately 5.5 acres in Westwood, about 1.2 acres in Norwood.
So does this trigger Norwood being involved in this decision, or that would be Abby?
No, all of the work is actually in Westwood, and the building completely resides within Westwood.
Okay.
And we don't anticipate any permits needed in Norwood.
Okay. I think it looks nice. It's clean. It's sleek. I had a question about the curtain wall. Is that a modular type wall or of glass?
It's a Conair system, 18 feet tall. So it'll be curtain wall, probably a 7.5 inch vertical mullion.
Okay. And what type of glazing are you using?
Well, it's clear glass.
Okay.
It will be 1 inch insulated low E glass.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of the roof runoff, Abby, you'll get documentation of that before the approval gets completed?
My recommendation would be for that it to be the final drainage design be submitted to myself and Beta Group and Public Works to have that approved prior to building permit.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
And then Christopher Path.
Oh, he was here.
Video. Try that. No, I can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you hear me before? I'm all set. It looks good. Thank you.
And then William Delay.
Let me see. Bill, are you here? I don't know. Let me just, I don't think Bill is here.
Yeah, if he's on the phone, he may be muted. So if you're on the phone, Bill, you want to hit *9 and that will raise your hand. And then Abby can unmute you. While we're waiting for that, I also, I'm happy to hear about the stormwater. That was my main issue with this. So I'm glad that will be resolved. And since the lighting plan, no change there. So I don't have any issues with this. It looks nice. So getting back to Bill. So Bill, can you hear us?
I don't know if this is Bill, but I see a phone number ending in 3604. I'm just I'll open it up to see if maybe this is Bill's other phone number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is this Bill? Okay, here.
Yes.
We can hear you, Bill.
Yeah,
so we're at the part where just asking questions. So the other four board members have asked questions.
Yeah, I like everything I did. I just wanted to comment. Solar panels. Did I see solar panels?
No, they're not on the flat roof.
No.
I don't.
Okay, I just thought I did there at one point. Okay, I thought you might be using them.
I don't think there's any. There might be some existing on the old flat roof behind, but we're not proposing any new photovoltaic on the pitched roof components that we're altering.
Okay. Very good. Thanks.
Okay. And Abby, is this a public hearing that we'd ask questions from the public?
Yes. So we can, if anyone from the public is using the phone, they can press *9. That will raise your hand. Or in Zoom, in the participant view, there's a button at the bottom of the screen to raise your hand. You just wait a moment, and I will call on everyone with their hand raised. Let's see. I don't see anyone yet, but let's give them a minute. Anyone, if there's any questions, you can hit *9 or raise your hand in the participant view.
Okay, so we'll give it a couple of seconds. And then last time, Abby, I think the delay was very short. And this would just be a delay between the telephone line and the web line. So it's so calling out again if there is any questions from the public or comments.
All right, I don't see any.
Yeah, so at this point, does before we move on to looking at any of the waivers, does the applicant have anything additional to state with regards to any of the comments from the board?
No.
Okay, great. So Abby, so we did talk about a number of waivers for this project. So the first one is the exterior lighting plan, for which they said that there's no change. Traffic study, stormwater report. The fourth is presentation model, and the plan that includes the map, landscaping, and fill calculations. And the applicant gave reasons for their belief that these waivers should be approved. So do any board members have any comments with regards to this? So again, I'll go down the line. So Dave Atkins.
No, I have no comments.
Deborah Conant.
No comments.
Christopher Path.
No.
William Delay.
No.
So seeing that, would somebody like to make a motion for waivers?
I move that we approve these 5 waivers because the application for building improvements does not necessitate the other application submission, and the applicant has agreed to stormwater improvements by capturing and treating the roof runoff.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Are there any discussions? Okay, so through a roll call vote, so Dave,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Christopher,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I for me as well. So that motion passes 5-0. And then there's a few conditions that we have in front of us. Abby, does that include the condition that they had spoken of earlier during that presentation? Would that be a condition?
About the stormwater?
Yeah.
Yes, my recommendation is for the applicant to submit final design plans to staff, to myself and Beta Group, that would meet the requirements as requested in Beta's memo for capturing and recharging the stormwater runoff from the roof, or the 80% TSS removal.
Okay. And then Abby, do you want to walk us through the two conditions that we have before us?
And that was a condition for the final drainage design, and then the second one was to keep a copy of the decision on the property at all times during construction.
Great. So does somebody want to share a motion for this?
I move that we approve the EIDR submitted by Prime Motor Group for Mercedes of Westwood at 425 Providence Highway with the following two conditions. One, that the applicant shall submit the final design plans to Beta Group and the town planner showing the system to recharge 1 inch of roof runoff, or best management practices to provide 80% TSS removal and 50% phosphorus removal from the pavement areas as recommended in the memo from Beta Group dated May 5th, 2020. The plans shall be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a building permit, and the system installed prior to final occupancy. And the second condition is just that a copy of this decision and final approved plans should be kept on site during construction.
Great. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And hearing a second, are there any further discussion by any of the board members? So through roll call, Dave?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I for me as well. So that motion passes 5-0. So at this point, we can, somebody wants to make a motion to close the hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing.
We have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on this hearing? So roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I for me as well. So vote 5-0 to the public hearing is closed. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So next on the agenda, Abby, that's the open space recreational plan.
Yes.
So do you want to give us a summary of where we are with this?
Sure. If you remember, the planning board in February 2019 adopted the open space and recreation plan. That was updated and mostly done. The work was done in 2018, and you adopted it in early 2019. After that, it was sent to the state, the Department of Conservation and Recreation. They approved it last summer, and they conditionally approved it, which allows the town to be eligible to submit for grants. But they did come back last summer with some requests for some additional items to be added to the plan. So we did work on that, and we did have a revised and updated open space and recreation plan recently. It was, I think, last week, Thursday or Friday. We uploaded that to your packet. So At this point, we'd recommend you continue your hearing further to your next meeting on May 26th, but we'd like you to start reviewing that so you can review those changes for your next meeting, so that you have more time to review them and that we have more opportunity for the public to look at those additional items. They were minor changes. They weren't anything substantive, but they are items kind of adding clarification, elaboration, adding some items to the document in various places, and some organizational items that they had requested.
Right. Thank you for that, Abby. So are there any questions or comments from any of the board members? So Dave?
No, I don't have any comments, no.
And Deborah, at this point, do you have any questions or comments?
No, it seems like we're reserving those for May 26th, so we'll just wait for 26th.
Okay, great. And then Chris, do you have any initial?
No.
And Bill?
No.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion to continue the hearing to Tuesday, May 26th?
I'll make a motion to continue the open space and recreation plan hearing till our meeting on May the 26th at 7 p.m.
And that would be another remote meeting.
Okay, great. And do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
And any discussion? So at the roll call vote, Dave?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And aye from me. So the motion passes to continue that to May 26th. And then moving on to other business. So we have, there were four sets of meeting minutes. February 11th, February 25th, March 2nd, and April 7th. So was everybody who, Chris, you were not available for one of these meetings, or was somebody?
Yeah, the might be two. The 25th and the 2nd I missed.
The 25th and the 2nd.
I was not there for the 7th. Of April. Oh, are we on April?
Right. So let me just make notes. So when we go through roll call vote, I have mention of that. Okay. So we have. So everybody was there for February 11th. So does somebody want to make a motion to approve the February 11th minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted for our meeting on February the 11th, 2020.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Discussion. Okay, roll call vote. So Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And aye for me as well. So those minutes are approved 5-0 for February 11th. And again for February 25th. So this is the meeting that Chris was not in attendance. So would somebody other than Chris like to make a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the February 25th meeting minutes.
And do we have a second?
So I'm just gonna give some input here. I have a lot of, I felt that it was missing some important context on the 25th, so I made a lot of notes.
Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah. So,
So I can
we
either
hit
send
that.
them to Abby to take a look at, and we can revisit this, or I know we're on a time limit, so it's however you guys want to handle this.
Yeah, I mean, we're still, we don't have that much to go through for the rest of the meeting. So did you want to walk us through?
So basically, I'm sorry, Abby, did you want to say something?
Nope, I just want to make, if you want to approve them tonight, then we should go over those changes.
Okay.
If not,
Yeah.
then,
Right. So, Deb, if
Yeah,
there's a number of them, then perhaps they could be modified, and we don't necessarily have to. So if they're agreed, to go through each of those recommendations. you want to walk us through them? How many are you?
So if you go down to the bullets, it will go down to bullet number,
Okay, so let me,
bullet number 6. It was just a little bit of rewording because it didn't make sense the way the sentence was written. So I just wanted to correct that where it says, under the Office of Healthcare Professional.
Sorry, what page do you know what page you're?
It's page 4 of 6.
okay. And which bullet point?
So if you go down 6 of them, it says back in 2017, under the Office of Healthcare Professional, it should say it excluded, not excluding. It just doesn't, just the way it reads, it doesn't make sense. So if you say it excluded hospital substance rehabilitation treatment facilities, just to make it a little more clean so people can understand that.
Okay.
And then back in that same sentence, actually falling into the 7th bullet, at the end where it says, I made my comment, it said, but it was not defined in the medical center or clinic, so why can't it be added into the Office of Healthcare Professional? And if you go down to bullet number 8, where it says, definitions for shuttle, fitness center, healthcare, and those that are not in the use chart. It said, why can't you put it in the use chart definitions? And then exclude. So, you know, I have it all written out. It's so confusing for me to try to read it. In use chart, Jeff, why can't you put these in the use chart definitions? Then I said, why are you trying to bring the uses from the University Ave multi-use overlay district into the use chart when we don't include the uses of the FMUODs in there? And that was pretty substantial because that's one of the reasons why I voted against this.
Okay. Do you want to try to give me the changes and then you all review them for your next meeting on May 26th?
Do that. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Is our other board members okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with she's just clarifying what she was asking, so I would be okay with if it.
Oh, I meant, would you be okay with waiting until the next meeting so that you can review the text?
Or I think Abby was saying maybe if I sent them to her, she'll send them out to all of you to look at so that we can expedite this.
Well, I just want to make sure we get it, you all know what you're approving. So, I mean, if the board is clear now on how you want these edited, then the board can approve them tonight.
Okay.
So basically, I just, you know, I want to make sure that it's completely like what I said came across as what I was trying to make my point of in terms of why I didn't vote in favor of this.
Yeah, that's so Abby, what was your recommendation and how can we approve this tonight with those modifications? Should we go, should Deb then describe her other comments also?
I think those were the major ones, Brian.
Okay. So it sounds like it was like the 6th bullet, the 7th bullet, and the 8th bullet.
Let me look at number 8. Yes. Yep. That was it. There was just a little bit of context that was missing that sort of really kind of got the grasp of what I was saying.
Okay.
Okay. And then how should the motion be stated? Dave, you're pretty good at crafting these motions.
So what I was thinking was that with what Deb has what she's described, I'm okay with that. It sounds like whatever wording that she and Abby agree with, I would be fine with that. So I would say just to approve the minutes, subject to you know, making sure that that we get the Abby and that they get the wording right. with something Deb is happy with. Because I think that we can approve the gist of this like we've done before when there's just been some edits and things that we don't have to go another meeting and come back and.
Yeah, I hear you. So is that a motion that you just stated? Sounded like it.
Yeah, I think it's to approve the minutes with the modifications that she's proposed.
Okay. And do we have a second?
Can I unmute myself second?
And so any further discussion on the February 25th minutes? Okay, so roll call vote. So Chris will not be included in this vote. So Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
And Bill?
Aye.
And aye for me as well, so that passes 4-0. So next is the March 2nd minutes. So Dave, do you have any comments on these minutes?
I don't have any comments.
And Deb, do you have comments on this minutes?
No comments, no.
And Bill, do you?
No.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion to approve the March 2nd minutes?
I move that we approve the March 2nd meeting minutes.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? So again, this was a meeting that Chris was not in attendance, so roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Bill?
Yeah, aye.
And aye for me as well, so that passes 4-0 for the March 2nd. And then the April 7th minutes, so this is the meeting for which Deb was not in attendance. So
Brian, just real quick, sorry to interrupt, but I think just for the record, it should be noted that I had to abstain from voting. That wasn't 4-0, it was 4-0-1.
Okay.
I see. Okay, it's an abstain. Okay. So the same is true for the February 25th.
Okay.
Right, the 25th and the 2nd.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you for that. So for April 7th, Dave, do you have any comments for the April 7th?
I have no comments.
And so Deb, you were not in attendance at that meeting. Chris, do you have any comments for the
No.
April 7th?
I don't.
And Bill, do you have any comments?
No.
And I don't either for that one. So would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that we approve the meeting minutes for Tuesday, April 7th.
And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And any further discussion? Okay, so Dave.
Aye.
And then Deb.
I don't vote.
So it's an abstention. So Chris
Aye.
and Bill.
Aye.
And aye for me as well. So it's 4 yeses and 1 abstention for the April 7th. So that's approved as well. And then so Abby, we have a meeting on May 26th. So would we be able to get I think there's two sets of meeting minutes that we're missing. So could we get those next week?
I'll try to get them to you as soon as I can. I think there was a couple, 2 or 3 or 3 minutes outstanding.
Yeah, so why don't we target May 19th? That way we have a week to review those ahead of the meeting, and then we can close those up. And then moving on to the agenda. So you wanted to go over summer schedule. So why don't we go? What's the date for the upcoming election?
The election is scheduled for June 2nd, and then town meeting is scheduled for June 8th.
Okay.
So then I suggested May 26th. Then I suggest your next meetings for June to be June 16th, June 30th, then July 21st, and August 18th. That's going down to 1 a month in July and August. But I know a lot will depend on, the current situation we're in and what applications may come in. Sometimes we've had to maybe schedule an additional meeting if we needed to.
Yeah,
Abby, I'm
so
sorry. Can you repeat those dates again?
Okay. May 26th,
Yeah.
June 16th, June 30th, July 21st, and August 18th.
Okay. Thank you.
If those are okay with everyone, I was just kind of trying to spread them out in the middle of the month and be about 3 weeks apart.
yeah, so my last meeting with the board will be the 26th, since the election is the 2nd and the 8th. So we definitely need those minutes for next Tuesday, Abby, so that we can close those out before the new board starts. And then have we heard anything about as far as the town meeting and where it will be, what the setup will be like, and is it the same quorum or was the quorum changed?
I think that's still to be decided. We're going forward with June 8th for town meeting, but there is a Senate bill that's under consideration to reduce the minimum number of a quorum. That's under consideration. I think that went through the Senate and still needs to go through the House. And that allows for towns to locally decide, I think about 10% of the normal quorum to be the minimum required for the town meeting. So that's still under review right now. But the thought was to have less people, in case less people come out due to the public health situation, to still be able to move forward town meeting. And if that does happen, if the quorum is reduced, it's likely that it would be limited to financial articles only. So then any items that may come off the warrant would be non-financial articles, such as the zoning articles or the street acceptances, some of those other items, some of the select board items. If that's the case, then they would have to go forward at a future town meeting. So either a fall town meeting or a special town meeting.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the boards on that? So Dave?
Nope.
Deb?
No, I think that, I think with the COVID situation, I'm surprised they're going to go forward with the financials personally, but I think that's a discussion for the Board of Selectmen to be had with them. So no other comments.
And then Chris?
No.
And Bill?
No.
Okay. Great. So now I'm looking at my screen here. I lost the agenda here. Is there anything else on the agenda from your side, Abby?
No, but just one piece of information is that if you missed, maybe kind of in early March, there was a Citizens Planner Training Collaborative conference that was canceled due to the coronavirus, but they are doing a free webinar this week on Thursday the 14th at 7 p.m. If anyone's interested, I had included that link. So that is a free, it's about the roles and responsibilities for planning boards and zoning boards. So that is a free workshop if you're interested in participating.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for that. And anything else from any board members before we close the meeting? So I welcome a motion.
I'll make a motion to close tonight's meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Okay, so the roll call vote. So Dave?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And aye for me as well. So the meeting is closed. Thank you, everyone, for everything, and take care.
Thank you.